Loud. All right.
Just
Okay, everybody. So the official reasons why we are gathered tonight are both on this Zoom with all of you who are here to celebrate them. Carolyn Cunningham and Paul Presendieu. More people will be joining us. So we're not full yet, but we're getting there. Carol Durst-Wertheim, you want to start us off?
I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm another Carol in this cluster of Carols in this federated conservationists. And I wanted to welcome everybody and say thank you all for coming. We have two remarkable people that we're celebrating tonight and a very long program full of lots of toasts. So you better refill that champagne glass, Carolyn. Off we go. Have a nice evening and good holidays, everybody. Safe ones.
Very good. Okay, so I wanted to thank all of you for being on this important Zoom tonight, recognizing that the contributions of each other is huge because we learn so much from each other and we're so inspired. The Green Seal Awards are a tradition for FCWC for I don't know how many years now, but many. And the Edith Reed Award, I'll tell you more about that later when we're ready to give it to Paul, the recipient. But that also has been an FCWC tradition for many, many important years. So we're here for these awards, and each of you has a reason for being here. Beyond just FCWC, it goes deeper. It goes to the people who make FCWC. And we are tonight symbolically, because Carolyn's not done with us yet, but we are symbolically sort of showing that we're passing the torch, that Carolyn's generation is lighting the fires of the younger generations. And that's going to be dramatically clear tonight. So thank you all for coming. And now I'd like to introduce Carol. And I want to thank all of our board members and the program committee members who created this program. It's been very tricky doing it on Zoom, as you know. And we have a lot of elected officials who will be getting on. I don't see too many. Oh, Nancy Barr's here. And let's see, a couple, who else is on yet? But we have quite a few that will be coming. Nancy, thank you for coming on. And but we can greet them as we go along. And
Nancy's not here yet, Anne. Anne, it's me. I just have Nancy's name and I can't rename it on your Zoom. She's not on yet, but she will be.
I'll teach you how to do that, Debbie. We're glad you're here on.
It's not allowing me to do it. I usually can.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. Anyway, so now I'd like to turn it over to Carol Griffiths, who will be sharing the story of Carolyn in pictures.
Cool.
Okay, I'm trying to share the screen. Okay, can you all see it? Okay, so this is a short kind of retrospective of the history that Carolyn shares with the rest of us with FCWC. She is the longest serving board member. She was involved since 1980, which is absolutely amazing. Absolutely. She was an executive director, and then after that, a board member. And as executive director and as a board member, she's been involved in so many different issues, and we're going to show you some of those issues. So I'm going to try to get this forward. Okay, so these are headlines from the Westchester Environment, which was our newsletter for a long time. And so you can see here just early on the different kinds of things she was involved with. And I want to go to this FCWC conference. So this was in 1983, and this was a conference about the stewardship of cultural, historic, and natural resources of Westchester County. And please note the keynote address by Professor Nicholas Robinson, Common Objectives of Environmentalists and Preservationists. So Professor Robinson has been involved also for a long time. All right, so moving on, parks and water issues. And then she retired in 1985 as executive director. So there she is in the middle, several years ago, with the future and past executive directors. And at this event, there are a whole bunch of people who were there. Now we're going to focus in on a few of these. So the first is Carolyn with Chuck Lesnick. both a little bit younger than they are today. And then Edith Reed. And so this is the famous Edith Reed, for which we have named our Edith Reed Award, again with Nick Robinson. And here, past presidents at that time. And this one, the third from the left, is Gary Corwin. And FCWC now has started an externship in Gary Corwin's name for a Pace University law student, thanks to Jason Klein, who did all that work. So Carolyn left in 1985 and earned a law degree from Pace in 1988. And at the same time, she became, because she lived in Ryan, she was close to the airport, very concerned about noise from the Westchester County Airport. This has been her signature issue with FCWC. From the 1980s to the present time, she's been involved in airport issues, but not her only issue. So this is some of the issues that she's been involved with, and the writing. She did so much writing for the newsletter. Okay, this is our 30-year celebration, which I wasn't at, but I was at the 50-year celebration. But we're going to focus in on this picture. And there's Carolyn again, and Gary Corwin, and Maureen Morgan, who was a president, and here's Henry Neal.
Yes.
Bobby Kennedy
Yep,
and Bob Funicello.
yep. Carol, you got yourself muted.
Okay, am I okay now?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, so Bob Funicello, the last one on the left.
Bobby Kennedy, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Sorry, should I go over that again? Did I?
We got it.
Okay.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, so 1999 airport issues, but also notice in 1999 that we were concerned, FCWC was concerned about replacing the Tappan Zee Bridge. So over 20 years ago, which is really interesting, at least to me. Okay, more airport, and then another conference on energy independence. So covering so many issues. I mean, Carolyn has been involved with almost every possible environmental issue in Westchester. 2004, again, a Westchester County environment. The airport agreement, the capacity was extended. And again, here's Bob Funicello, Carolyn, of course, and the then County Executive Andy Spano, and the
Adiel.
previous, I've forgotten her name, previous
Adiel.
Audio, okay, audio, right, sorry. Okay, so as a board member, vice president, treasurer for many years, co-treasurer for many years, and she chaired the membership committee for over a decade. And she's responsible for me being a board member because she took me out to lunch and she just gave me an offer I couldn't refuse, which is to pay money to be on the board of FCWC and work hard. Okay, and the last series are just some pictures of her at different kinds of meetings. So this is at our annual meeting at the Edith Reed Sanctuary. And she was honored by the Bronx River Sound Shore Audubon. This is Sandy Morrissey, who is president. So she's been honored many times. Carolyn's been honored many times. So this is just one of the many times. I love this picture of her celebrating with, I guess that is a jay. It's hard to tell. It's the little stuffed animals. Okay, with Jason and Barbara Klein, who was recipients of the Green Seal Award. With me, a horrible picture, at our fundraiser 2017 on the Clearwater, which was really such a wonderful day. Just wonderful. And then finally, 2018, an interview. And last, okay, just a couple of tributes that I'm going to show you, and the rest you're going to hear. So this is the first is from Nick Robinson, Carolyn Cunningham, Conservationist Extraordinaire. I'll give you a minute or two. This will be, we will have this on our website, but if you want to read for a minute or two, you can read about what Nick Robinson had said. I thought this was just a beautiful, beautiful memorial.
Yes, thank you very much, Nick.
Yeah.
And Nick will be speaking tonight.
Right. Okay. And
Right.
should I go on? Is everybody okay with it? Okay, I think I'll go on now, and then we can always look at this later. And finally, from Margaret Carroll, who is on our board. Short, succinct, but exactly what she's been. Constant as the Northern Star for FCWC over these many years. Carolyn, we all thank you so much. And
Excellent.
look forward to sharing many more years with you on the board.
Very good.
Okay.
Well, right. I can step down now. Very much for that.
So Chuck Lesnick now will be doing the rest of the tributes. He will be emceeing all the many tributes we have for Carolyn. Chuck?
I am so honored to introduce Carolyn, who's really the reason I'm here. I was another person who she recruited for membership, but more importantly, and my parents could attest to this, that in 1959, when my father Irving was finishing up at Yale Law School and John was finishing up at Yale Drama School, and my mom and Carolyn were teaching in the Hamden public schools, and I believe carpooling. Carolyn was there when I was a gleam in my parents' eye and when I first came out. So
Wow.
I remember, in fact, seeing Laura, Kathy, Chris coming up to Rye and you know, going to collect the golf balls that came into their backyards and selling them to the club for $1 a bucket, and hearing Carolyn talk about why we should fight the Rye Oyster Bay Bridge. We lived in Glen Cove on the other side of that sound, and why Indian Point shouldn't be in Westchester County. And you know, she was doing environmental work long before 1980, driving around in her energy efficient Volvo while we had a Ford Falcon and an AMC Rambler, which probably got, you know, 8 miles to the gallon. So Carolyn has been a great inspiration to me. I think that picture where I was with Carolyn in 1985 was one of the first times I represented Governor Mario Cuomo in Westchester County. And of course, I worked for Governor Andrew Cuomo as well. You know, we talk about passing the generation. I think Carolyn recruited me to the board to lower the average age and Paul is younger
Wow.
than my kids. And I can't, by the way, speak about about Mario Cuomo without looking at Richard Ottinger, who was a longtime congressman before Nita and really set the standard for environmental stuff and was so helpful to Mario back then, and as others have been. So I'm going to make the formal presentation of the Green Seal Award to Carolyn. And I guess I should have some sort of token award. I'm so used to handing out awards. I'll have to just hold this up as a white screen and we'll put the green seal on there when we actually give it to her, right? Is that what we're doing, Ann?
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
and one other thing is, for those of you who aren't so technically adept or are technically adept, right now we're on gallery view, and that's what Carolyn should be on, so she can see us all clapping when we clap for her.
Very
But
good.
at a certain point in time, you should switch to the screen view, because then you'll be able to see the speaker, I'm sorry, the speaker view. Then you'll be able to see the speaker who's speaking and Carolyn's reaction to the speaker. So right
Very
now,
good.
we present the award to Carolyn and we clap.
Very good. Thank you very much. Great. Wow. Very much great. Thank
You have
you.
to take yourselves off mute to clap.
Okay. Now, I believe before we have Nita Lowey's recorded tribute, we're going to go to George Latimer and Catherine Parker because they've got to leave. Is George on already?
Here I am.
We're just here.
George. So, I mean, George
George,
does know Carolyn
Thank
from
you.
her days as
Ca-
a council member. George is a great friend to the environment. He's been a great friend to the Federated Conservationists of Westchester, both what he does and what he authorizes Peter to do and what Peter makes him do. We're glad for that great partnership we have with Pete McCart and George Latimer and his entire administration. George Latimer, take it away.
Thanks very much, Chuck and Carolyn. I hope you can drink in every drop of praise that you're going to receive tonight from all of your friends. We've watched you do a lifetime of service to this county, to the environment, to the home community that you and I live in, and your service there as a city councilman. You know, we talk about knowing people for a long time. It's going to be in about a month and about 3 months or so, 34 years since I first ran for public office. And I was invited to run for the Rye City Council. I was a pup in the way of public policy. And I was told that of my many stops that I had to meet, I had to go to 18 Soundview Avenue and visit Carolyn Cunningham. And that Carolyn Cunningham was the guru on matters that related to land use, zoning, and environment. And, you know, she saw this guy walk in the door, 33 years old,
because
gonna run for the city council, no idea.
While they're doing this other lady first. Oh, put on mute.
No idea of what I was going to ask, and I sat there. I remembered very well. She and John have a gorgeous home. We've been there many times for many events and activities. And she had an encyclopedic knowledge even then, 34 years ago. And she could explain the process of public policy. She could explain it in a practical way. I took copious notes and I walked out of that room and I shook my head and I said, I am never going to know zoning, planning, and environment like that woman knows it. And of course, the years have gone by. Both Carol and I have served in so many different capacities. That line, that video that said, not video, but that little placard that talked about her as a North Star. She has been a North Star, and on issue after issue, not as county executive, but during all the other jobs I've had, she's been a North Star in showing what the right way is on environmental policy. So Carolyn, what you have here is an accumulation of people who've known you for a significant portion of your life. We love you, but even more important than love you, we respect you. And in this business, that's even more important. We know your intellect, your heart, your ability to drive public policy in the right direction. You've shaped me and others in the right direction. God bless you, Carolyn. Congratulations.
George, right. George, thank you much, George, right. Wow.
Now, I think the program says Carolyn is going to accept the award, speak, and then I'll introduce Catherine Parker next and anybody else who has budget hearings. But Carolyn, the floor is yours.
Very good. I can't speak as well nowadays as I did previously, but I can't remember back 50 years as well as I did before. But now I thank you all for being my environmental friends, because Westchester is full of environmental people. And I learned that with Edith Reed. So she is member of our FCWC things. And I want to thank Nick Robinson and Dick Onder for being my law school professors and completing my education. And so many of you, I see Steve, and this is overwhelming, but I thank you for it all. And I think I'm fondest of Chuck Lesnick, who I've known since a baby, since he was a glimmer in Sheila and Irv's eye, right? And I've known you, a lot of you, for a long time, but I thank you for this event and for bringing us all together at this time, because we can see one another for the marvels of video, and that's wonderful. And I thank you all so much, right, for doing this for me, right? Wow.
Do you have to share your own cake as well?
Right, wow. Wow.
Bravo, Carolyn. Bravo, Carolyn.
Here's to you, Carolyn.
Very good.
Love you.
Very good.
You're still the treasure. You're still our treasure.
So our next presenter is also a former Rye council member and county legislator. She was a majority leader on the Board of Legislators and the chair of the Environmental Committee, an environmentalist who was instrumental in the passage of environmental laws like the leaf blower ban and the plastic bag ban in her home community. And Catherine Parker has been a leader not only in the Sound Shore, but for all of us in Westchester. Catherine?
Thank you, Chuck. Truth be told, Carolyn Cunningham has been my mentor. So through everything, I have known her, but even before I was serving on the city council, she was, doing wonderful environmental policy for our home community. In fact, chapter 93, I can tell you, one very much on wetlands, that was authored by no one other than Carolyn Cunningham. And, that's something that this community is so grateful for, the work that she's done. Westchester is grateful for the work that she has done and the leadership she has shown, and particularly going back to early days with the Westchester County Airport and the fight going on with noise and the communities near the airport. And she was again one of the drivers to the fact that we have a passenger cap at the airport, again to just try to curb the environmental noise. So I am so well for our community, and I'll tell a little tale out of school. So without saying too much about your age, Carolyn has been such a strong, active member of the community. I know for a fact the last time she was asked to run for office, said, "You can't be serious. I'm 80 years old. You really don't want, me as an 80-year-old to be mayor." And we were like, "Yes, we do. You're great." So she really has been so amazing. We're so grateful for the work that you have done, that you have led with. And Westchester, one of the things that I love to do is to have for our real shining stars. We are putting your name up in lights at the Westchester County Center tomorrow. Tomorrow, December 2nd, is Carolyn Cunningham Day in Westchester County. Your name will be on the big Jumbotron. And Carolyn, again, thank you so much. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for being there for me as an early person getting involved in the community, and when you've been there for me every time I've had a question as an elected official. So I've been so grateful for you, and truly I'm so glad to be here to say thank you. And there's
Catherine,
yes,
we
and
have
Ann's
your
got the proclamation.
proclamation
There it is. It will get to you.
It will. We'll be driving it over to your house, Carolyn. Okay, Catherine,
Very
thank you for
good.
making sure this got done. This is awesome, and
Very good.
we'll look for
Thank
Carolyn
you
in lights.
very much.
And then those are energy efficient, high LED lights that'll
That's
be.
right.
There it is.
Wow. Very good. Thank you. Very good.
So now I think we're queuing up the Nita Lowey tribute. And while we do that, I want to recognize Pat Keegan, who's on this call, who has been Nita Lowey's longtime manager of the office. Where is Pat? She was here. And I was going to say all these nice things about Pat. There, she's back. Nita Lowey's retiring at the end of this term, and I guess Pat is too. I can't say how much Pat has been, as far as a stable force in that office. I think there were 5 heads of Nita's office in the first couple of years, and then Pat took over, and for 30 years, Pat has been there and has been really a rock and somebody who has the institutional history locally and has been helping us with Nita. Nita needs no help because she's got the right instincts on so many issues, but Patricia makes sure that things get done, that the trains run on time, and that the paperwork follows and the grants get approved. And thank you, Pat Keegan.
Well, thank you, Chuck. But tonight is for Carolyn. We toast you, all of us toast you, Carolyn, and thank you for everything.
So where's Nita's tribute? You got it?
Yeah, it's coming.
There we go.
Speaker view, everybody.
We got it.
Hello. I am Congresswoman Nita Lowey, and I am so pleased to join the Federated Conservationists of Westchester County tonight to honor Carolyn Cunningham and Paul Presendieu. I only wish we could all be together in person. A champion of environmental conservation and protection, Carolyn Cunningham is FCWC's longest-serving board member and has been involved with this esteemed organization for the better part of 4 decades. tonight, as she is honored with the Green Seal Award. We are reminded of all that Carolyn has achieved, and we congratulate her on her many accomplishments. Throughout her career, Carolyn has advocated on behalf of the people of Westchester County, fighting to protect our environment, combat climate change, and create a safer, cleaner community. Thanks to Carolyn's dedication and hard work, FCWC held a summit on climate change at the Pace University Law School in September of 2014, where Carolyn herself earned a degree in environmental law in 1988. As a resident of Rye, Carolyn very early on became concerned about the noise from Westchester County Airport, which would become her signature issue during her time with FCWC. Indeed, her persistence and her concern for her neighbors has become a hallmark of her tenure. As an elected official representing Westchester for 32 years, I admired Carolyn's strong advocacy efforts, sought her input, and was pleased to work with her on many important environmental issues. Carolyn, congratulations on your many years of leadership and best wishes in the years to come. And as I retire from the Congress, I want to thank all of you at FCWC and urge you to keep fighting for a clean and safe environment.
That's good.
So the next elected officials that I'm going to introduce, I'm going to start with the state senators, Otis and Mayer, and our former state senator, Susie Oppenheimer, and then go to our assembly members, Sandy Galiff, and then we have Mary Jane Shimsky and Ruth Walter on the County Board of Legislators. Amy Poland's on as well. Does anybody have a hearing? Do the county legislators have a hearing that would require them to go out of order?
Not tonight.
Not tonight. So we'll start in the Senate. Well, actually, I said Senate. Steve Otis. We're going to start with Steve because you're local, and then we're going to go to your predecessor, Susie Oppenheimer, and then Shelley Mayer. Steve.
Thank you, Chuck. And Carol, great to see you, my friend. Great to see you, and congratulations, and to everybody at FCWC. A lot of good friends on the call tonight. You know, in talking about Carol and the dedication over the many years, we should start and just understand the range of her commitment and her work, because it's not just Westchester, it's not just Rye. Carolyn was involved in statewide issues, involved for many years with the Environmental Planning Lobby, as it was called then. Today it's the Environmental Advocates. Her work with NRDC on some important issues, and really making sure that FCWC was a voice, a statewide voice from Westchester. In Rye, where we have worked so closely together for decades, Carolyn has been involved in every possible environmental issue that has faced our community: clean water, recycling, clean air, noise pollution. In the late 80s, Carolyn and I were on a committee of 4 people to write Rye's wetlands law. And that was no easy task. It took a few years and hundreds of hours of meetings. And we were, not everyone was on our side, so it was hard. 10 years later, we wrote the Rye's cellular equipment siting law, which is still on the books in Rye today. Again, took a long time, a lot of detail, a lot of work. But from historic preservation to erosion control to flood control, Carolyn has done it all in Rye. One of a very handful of people, the Rye Conservation Commission was started in 1956. Our first chair was Edith Reed. And I think there probably have been only about 15 chairs in all those years. Carolyn is the only one to be chair twice of the Rye Conservation Commission. Spent many important years in the Planning Commission 8 years on the city council and served with me when I was mayor as deputy mayor for some of those years. And small battles, big battles, protecting trees, getting to people to pick up after their dogs, you name it, we did it. And it was a great thing. The one guiding force is our friendship, both of us, our friendship with Edith Reed. And Edith was a mentor to so many people from FCWC, but a special mentor in Rye. And Carolyn and I worked with Edith on issues. In her later years, we would rescue Edith from the Osborne and take her out to lunch. And we would have a great time. Susie Oppenheimer sometimes came to some of those. And but even the phone calls that both Carolyn and I received from Edith were often, and many of you have probably got those phone calls, an issue would come up and she'd call up and say, what are we doing about this? And it meant that we had to take action. But the thing about Edith was, and the thing for all environmentalists is, this is not like some sort of passing activity. We'll dabble in the environment for a few years and then move on to something else. For all of us and for Carolyn Cunningham, it's a lifetime of work, and there's always a new project and there's always a new cause and a new battle to make our environment better and our communities better. And so that is the life that Carolyn has lived. But it's so appropriate for her to be honored tonight by FCWC, because beyond, as has been mentioned, playing every possible role for FCWC that there is, and she has done that, FCWC really would not exist today if it wasn't for Carolyn being the guardian angel, the mother hen, the constant continuity of FCWC. Yes, she did her years as executive director, but after that and as a board member, she was really the leader, with many of you working with her to make sure that FCWC continued to do the good programs, continued to have office space somewhere, and Pace Law School was a big help in that, but offices moved over time. And Carolyn was always in the center of making sure that we had a good executive director, that we had good board members, that we had the continuity. And that's why FCWC continues to be a huge force in Westchester today, is because of Carolyn Cunningham. So I have a nice proclamation from the State Assembly to help celebrate the occasion, but it really pales in comparison to my love for working with you all these years and the great work that we've done together. Congratulations on your award tonight.
Thank you so much, Steve. You have been so helpful to clean water throughout the state. Steve has brought more money for water infrastructure to Westchester County and municipalities, working with Sabrina T and the governor's administration than anybody. So thank you, Steve, for your clean water work and all the years you worked with Carolyn, and all the years you worked with our next speaker, former state senator Susie Oppenheimer, who I've known almost as long, since I went to college with her daughter Marcy at Yale. And Marcy dragged me out in 1982 on your first race for state senate, and I've been admiring your work ever since. Thank you. And Susie Oppenheimer. And you have to unmute. Susie, you're muted. Susie, you're still muted. Susie is muted.
Chuck, you can, who's the host? They can unmute her.
Now
Okay.
you are. Now you're unmuted. That's to unmute. Can someone unmute Susie?
Is she muted?
Was.
The host would have to do that with a co-host.
Yeah, is she muted though? Where is she? Oh, here, I'll do it by participants. Let me see. Hold on. Sorry, everybody. That's clumsy. Susie.
She's still muted, Ann.
I can't find her.
No, she's still
Oh, there she
muted.
is. There she is. Okay.
So while we're working on Susie, we're going to go to another state senator, Shelley Mayer, who's going to jump right in while we're working on technical difficulties. Shelley
Yeah.
has represented Yonkers and a longtime friend, and also has been tremendous on the environment, even though education is her real issue and her real love. Chair of the Education Committee, but there's a lot of educating we need to do on the environment. Shelley Mayer.
Thank you, Chuck. And it really is a pleasure to be here. I was thinking back, I came back to Westchester in 1985 to head Bob Abrams' office the first time he opened a Westchester regional office. I was the first head. And at that time, one, I didn't know anything about land use and the environment. And there were a few people, many of whom are on this Zoom call, including you, Carolyn, and Nick Robinson and Congressman Ottinger and Henry. And there were a bunch of people who were like, this is the issue that, you know, should be the primary issue. You have to pay attention to it. I really did not realize that this issue of land use, which seemed so small, was actually so critical to the future. And you had this long range view, which is so nice tonight to celebrate. You know, as George said and Steve said, this is not something you do as a hobby. This is a lifelong thing to make a change in our world. And I think you and the other people who have led the environmental movement here in Westchester taught me that land use wasn't boring, but it was actually critical to the future of every one of these communities. Zoning and the bigger environmental issues like the bridge and the airport, all of them, you've made a lasting impact on our county. And so I'm so thrilled that you're getting this award tonight from FCWC. And I do remember all the other organizations, as Steve pointed out, that advocated on environmental issues, which at the time was really quite of an uphill battle. So I want to thank you. My proclamation is coming. My big Senate proclamation is coming directly to your house, and I will get it to you and we will get it over there. It's in my office in Portchester, somewhat locked up. I want to congratulate you, also congratulate Paul, who's been a friend, on his award tonight. On his sort of the next torch, the next generation of leadership in the environmental movement here in Westchester. But for you, Carolyn, thank you for really making our county and our state a better place, for your long-lasting leadership and your real dedication to the nuts and bolts, as Steve said, the real details and the fights that we have to do in order to make a change. So it's my pleasure to honor you and be here tonight. And I look forward to giving you my proclamation in person. Best to you.
Best to you.
Is Susie unmuted yet?
My system's not allowing me to get to the unmute button on her for some reason. I don't know why.
No, she's
Go on
unmuted.
to the next.
She's unmuted. She is unmuted.
Susie
Okay.
Oppenheimer.
I think I am muted.
Now you can speak right now. You go right ahead.
Oh, how did that happen?
The floor is yours.
Can't seem to unmute, but someone else can unmute me. Hey, that's pretty good. Well, we've all said that she's just a wonderful advocate for our planet, and she's been so supportive of all environmental the legislation up in Albany. But I think that it's in Westchester where she has made her greatest mark, with so many projects and so many people that she has worked with. And actually, I was thinking of Carolyn, it was with your help behind me that I ended up getting the $4 million from Mario Cuomo's budget to save J property in Rye, because it was going to go to housing, multiple of housing, and now we have the wonderful J Heritage Foundation, and it's going to be open space and beautiful as historic preservation at the same time as its environmental preservation. So that was just a real coup that we got in 1986. Yeah, that was terrific. But I want to just say a private note that Martin and I know John and Carolyn as personal friends. And through the years, I can say that I don't think there's anybody that is more thoughtful, a kinder, gentler human being than Carolyn is. And you know, John is not too bad either. He's right up there in that group. So I just want to wish them, you know, so many more years together, hopefully in good health, with much love from all of the community.
Susie and Marty, thank you very much. Right. Wow.
For being your friend. That's not hard to be. Everyone's your friend.
Wow.
So I know there are a lot of elected officials on here, including Tom Abenanti and Amy Poland, who's going to speak very briefly next, and the county legislators who I announced earlier. And then I have a hard transfer at 7:43 to John Cunningham, and then we'll come back afterwards and get some of the electeds that we didn't get. So the floor is yours briefly, Amy Poland. A great
Thank you
advocate.
so much. I have a baby here, so I'm going to have to put him to bed soon. I wanted to be able to speak. I've known Carolyn since, I remember her, let's say, since 1995, approximately. I was on the village board in Scarsdale at the time that she was on the Rye City Council, and we spent time talking at municipal officials meetings and so forth. And I soon learned that she was the environmental premier expert on so many issues that were relevant at the time, whether it was regarding municipal government and what we could do. I remember learning about things that she did as initiatives that I was able to translate into Scarsdale, and was happy to do so with her tutelage. And she just really mentored me in this area. And I just wanted to say that and to thank her for being such an influence on me and everything that I've done since. So thank you. I also want to acknowledge Paul, who is my constituent. I have a citation here, which I'm going to mail. I don't know if you can see it. It speaks to your wonderful effort in regard to this. And I want to say that I started similarly to the way you've started in the work of environment. My very first venture was when I volunteered when I was 14 years old to a Democratic club in Brooklyn where I grew up, and I formed an environmental committee. And that environmental committee, I believe, still exists to this day because we got all the youth in that point. I was in junior high school. I don't even call it that anymore. And we brought young people together, and it turned into something. And I know that's what you did here. So I really identify with what you've done and wanted to tell you how proud and important that work is, because you are the future of this organization and the future of all as it relates to the environment because of the work that you've done. So that camaraderie I wanted to share, and I'm going to mail this citation to your home. It's also signed by Steve Otis, who also represents the great city of New Rochelle. So thank you all for everything that you do as an organization. It means so much to all of us, which is why you have so many elected officials on here to pay tribute to your honorees, to Carolyn, to Paul, and to everything you've been able to accomplish. So thank you.
That's great. And we're actually just a minute behind where we're supposed to be as I get to introduce John Cunningham, who's a tremendous actor. I think the first show I ever saw him in was The Fantastics. He was there for a while. 6 Degrees of Separation. He was the captain in Titanic. He was in Mystic Pizza, In and Out, Starships. The list goes on. I went to IMDb and they were like 47 different. You should be like, with Kevin Bacon, because you've been with so many actors over such a long period of time. And John, after your toast, you'll introduce your family members for toasts as well. John Cunningham.
Oh, hello. Well, after listening to all this truth telling, I have, and this is tomorrow's headline, It is all true. She's really
Wow.
that wonderful.
Very good.
Lucky us.
Wow.
Am I leading now in a toast?
Right.
Yes, you are.
I am.
Right.
Okay. So, to my wonderful lady, 64 years.
Wow.
64 years.
Wow.
Okay. If
Wow.
you get to know somebody, you guys have kind of nibbled at the edges. This is how great she is.
Very good.
So let's raise a glass to someone of great value.
Very good. Cheers. Thank you very much, sweetheart. Right.
Now, is Chris next?
I am.
All right, Chris.
And I'm going to give a short toast too. And also I'm just speaking for my sisters, Kathy and Laura. And I'm not pulling any rank here, but I am the oldest. And I just wanted to say a couple things that this has made me realize that sometimes things change so gradually over time that you got to be old to notice. And I'm 60.5 at the moment. And the New York City and New York State, I remember as a kid and young teenager, it was filthy, but I didn't know until it changed a bit. And like swimming in the Hudson equaled hepatitis death. So I thank everyone that was involved with the Clearwater. And but one little thing that has become ubiquitous, especially since my children now are grown, is that they didn't know that there wasn't always recycling. And I remember how hard it was for that to get off the ground in the early 70s. And I remember people saying, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen, you know. And now it's just part of our lives. And I know that so many people are involved in these changes, these specific efforts, these laws all over the place that add up to one major thing, and that is change. But it does take generations, and it does take the generosity to work hard on something that you know that your great grandchildren will reap the benefits of. And to that, I just want to raise a glass to my mom, who I love dearly.
And cheers, Kathy. Cheers. And Laura and John. John is here, right?
So now we go to some of your professors. You mentioned Nick Robinson and Dick Ottinger, and they're on deck. So Nick Robinson, take it away.
Well, thank you very much. It's extraordinary to be here. I want to recognize Dean Horace Anderson, who's on with us this evening, our current dean, and of course, the Dean Emeritus, Richard Ottinger. Both of these deans have been instrumental in helping FCWC network, having office and resources to do its work. And if we want to think globally and act locally, our law school has done that. But so many people have said everything that's wonderful that it's hard to add to that, but I'll try. I want to acknowledge Carolyn as an intentional environmentalist. When I first met her, she had decided to take a degree in environmental science with Jim Utter at SUNY Purchase, and she wanted to know how the law worked. So she took on an independent studies project, and I found her knocking on my door saying, you're going to be the guy who handles my thesis or my independent research paper for SUNY Purchase. And I said, well, why not? This is great. Of course, Carolyn was already famous or infamous as a grassroots environmentalist and someone that Edith Reed, who would always call at whatever hour Edith needed to call someone. And then you could not resist a call from Edith Reed, so you were suddenly in a new campaign. But the marvelous thing about Carolyn is from that degree, and then when she went to law school, she always wanted to be one step ahead of everyone else, one step ahead of the opposition, one step ahead of the people who are not protecting the environment, because she knew if she was well prepared and had that extra ounce of knowledge, she would likely as not prevail. And of course she did. But she did it with enthusiasm. She did it always with a smile. Her lovely visage would always appear disarming the opposition, because how could they fight with someone so attractive and lovely? And yet she knew she would, having followed Edith's example, have a way to prevail. So I also, both Shelley and I think that what John Cunningham has provided as support for Carolyn in all manner of ways is just enormously great. It takes that unsung spouse to make the other spouse carry the day. So I want to pay tribute to that. But above all, I want to toast Carolyn, who will always be active, who will always, there's no way you can retire, Carolyn. You're just going to be there as a spirit in the room, making sure we're all doing your work. So to you, Carolyn, congratulations.
Thank you. Cheers,
Here's
Nick.
Shelley.
Wow. Shelley, thank you very much. Right.
Carolyn is muted.
Right.
But while she's, there, you're unmuted now.
Right.
Just sit there.
I thank you for this kind words. And I was given many models to follow. They're all here, right?
Okay, our next speaker, Professor Dean Congressman Richard Ottinger.
Tessie, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, dog?
Dean Ottinger?
Unmuting. I think I made it.
All right.
And it's wonderful to be here with all of you, so many of you. Been good friends and colleagues over my many years of activity. You wonder why all these politicians showed up for Carol, and it's because she made a difference in all our lives. Indeed, I think everybody here, not just the politicians, as they spoke, it's clear she made a difference in their lives as well. And that in itself is a tremendous accolade, a wonderful salute to you, Carol, because you did make a difference. You helped guide us, cleaning up the Hudson River.
Very good.
Trying to do con it in where attempting to destroy Storm King Mountain, cleaning up the Hudson River. Many of the battles you fought were not easy, but you never say no to Carol. She came because she, first of all, has a wonderful way about her. But secondly, she had right on her side. And so she was able to help us be more effective. What a wonderful friend to have had. So, Carol, you deserve all these accolades.
You very
all
much.
these people love you, and we all care for you, and we're very glad to have Paul share this evening with us. And that's a
Chair.
very nice,
Very
and
good.
appropriate
He's the
reflection on FCWC.
Right.
So we can congratulate both of you on your
Thank you.
wonderful accomplishment.
Thank you, Ray. Wow. Very good. Thank you very much. Great.
It's very nice we managed to arrange to have the FCWC office just down the hall from my office, the
That's true.
Center for Energy and Climate Change.
Very good.
So
Right.
she could pop in very easily.
Right.
There was something she wanted help on or wanted to advise us on. She's remained an active part of my life.
Very good.
And it pays as well as in my political life. Carol, you're a wonderful friend.
I think you are too, Dick. Right. Wow.
Thank you so much, Dean Onger, and also Dean Anderson. We really value the relationship we have with Pace Law and hope it lasts going forward. J. Henry Neal put on a tie, so I suspect he'll deliver some formal remarks.
Well, Chuck, I think we've come to the point that sometimes comes in public meetings where everything has been said, but not everybody has said it.
Yes.
So it falls to me, but I am something of a dignitary, and I have a fact that no one can contradict, probably not even Bob Funicello. But in 1980, 40 years ago, when I was a member of the board of FCWC, Ann Donaldson, who was then the executive director, said, I want you to go on the nominating committee. And I said, all right, why not? And it was, I think, Pat Cassie and me, and I forget who else. And we recruited two people, Carolyn Cunningham and Susie Yeager. So that is my claim to fame. That's something I have accomplished. And I sit here and look at the film and see the people in the Zoom, and I remember a lot of them. And I say, yeah, I remember him. I remember her. They did. But Carolyn has been here the whole time, the entire time. And, you know, we said about Ted Williams, the greatest hitter in baseball, he failed 60% of the time. Nevertheless, he batted 400. And Carolyn probably didn't win them all. She came close a couple of times, but she was always still there. Keep on doing it. And that's hard. That really is hard to do. It's so easy to say, I've done it. I did my battle. That's it. I'm one and done. I'm through. Carolyn never did that. And I want to say one thing about John, too, because if you've ever been out in a sailboat with the two of them, you have to wonder who's the captain, who's the crew.
Wow.
You know, but they did it, and they got us back to harbor. We always found a buoy, and that was fine. So it's an extraordinary thing. You know, and Carolyn went to one of those Quaker colleges in Pennsylvania. I never remember whether it was Swarthmore or Haverford.
Swarthmore.
Right?
Swarthmore.
But the Quakers
You got it.
have a saying. God requests that we never not stop trying. And I think that applies to Carolyn over all these many years. Pretty impressive performance. So thank you very much.
Henry, thank you for those kind words. Right.
So Bob Funicello is next. He was in more pictures in the video than anybody else, and he also has longevity. Bob.
Well, thanks, Chuck. I know this will come as a shock, but I really have nothing to add. Carolyn, to me, is the living reminder of every great leader we've had in Westchester County. As Henry said, she's always been there, and she was there when I got to FCWC in '86. And when I retired from the board 3 years ago, Carolyn was still working just as hard as she ever had. She was always involved with the newspaper. She was always involved with the issues. She was very much involved with the airport. She taught me everything I ever learned about the airport before I went to work for the county. Carolyn is a force. But the one thing I would like to say to Carolyn and to everyone here, and John, is that Carolyn had finesse. Carolyn had style. Carolyn had tact. She was smart. She was prepared, but she always had an edge because she was such a wonderful person, and it came through. And as I think Nick said this too, it came through in everything she did. You wanted to agree with Carolyn. So Carolyn, thank you very much. We all love you.
Bob, for the words. Thank you for saying them.
Thank you so much. You know, we have a lot of elected officials who we may not get to, but we'll get their proclamations and whatnot. But county legislators Damon Moore, Mary Jane Shimsky, Ruth Walters. We have Assembly members Sandy Galiff and Tom Abenanti. But first, in the next 5 minutes, so try to keep it to a minute apiece, we have Sandy Morrissey, George Klein, Jason Klein, and Steve Levy. So starting with Sandy, is Sandy there?
Yes, I'm here. Okay, so I first met Carolyn when I worked for FCWC for a few years as the office manager with Goody. And so I got to know, and I know her issue was the airport. So, but then I'm now the current president of the Romford Township Audubon Society. And we decided to honor her in 2015. And in that process, I interviewed her for the, to get her the honor and learn more about everything that she's done. And what I really remember about that interview in particular was that she told me she got into getting into environments because I think her son mentioned this. They lived in the city as newlyweds, and she said the air was filthy, and she wanted to do something about it. So she moved to the suburbs, and I know she just got all involved in cleaning up the air and the environment. And at some point along the way, she joined FCWC and worked for them, and then became a strong leader and person in that. And in that, I think it was, I'm not sure if it wasn't Henry Neal, but she was at something when the lawyer said, well, we're going to do an Article 78 and go after whoever was polluting or whatever. And she wanted to have that power. So at age 50, she got her law degree so she could sue the people with an Article 58. I'm not sure if that was you, Henry, or who it was, but that impressed her. This is all from my interview with her. The other favorite thing I had in that interview was, it was a family joke that somebody, probably John, would say, Darlene, you have a sludge meeting tonight. And
That's right.
That's right.
Very.
So, and the other thing is, whenever I drive by the airport, I always know that Carolyn is watching out for it, making sure it's not polluting, making sure it's not expanding too much, and making sure everything's fine. So congratulations, Carolyn. And also, as our Audubon, we are very much encouraging the young generation. So I want to congratulate Paul, who is going to be getting another award, because that's the future, and we need all those people, those young people working. So congratulations.
We do.
Thank you so much, Sandy. Federated is made up of lots of different groups, and one of them is yours. One of them is the Airport Coalition, and George Klein is going to speak.
Okay, I'm speaking not only for the Airport Coalition, but for the Sierra Club. I raise my glass to Carolyn Cunningham for years of dedicated activism as a watchdog on the airport. You're a walking encyclopedia of war stories and personalities, about stories about personalities and situations relating to the airport. And I always enjoy your joyous and energetic presence. The Airport Coalition, alive and healthy today, is a direct descendant of your activism that started in the 1980s. You inspire all of us. Thank you so much, Carolyn.
Good. Thank you, George, for keeping it on.
Jason Klein has been a longtime board member, a past president, and a generous funder. Jason?
I'll keep this very short, but
Carolyn, I just want to say thank you because actually Carolyn is the one who brought me to FCWC board. I was working at Edith Reed Sanctuary at the time, who were giving out that award tonight as well. And I was lucky enough to have known Edith as well when I was the curator there. And we were working at that time, I believe, on leaf blower issues within Rye. And Carolyn introduced me to FCWC, and the rest, as they say, the rest is history. Where I spent a lot of time on the FCWC board, in a leadership position for some time, and it really helped make me who I am, I believe, and my involvement in FCWC, and that's thanks to you, Carolyn. So thank you so much for all that you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Yeah, Sarah Goddard's on as well, a councilwoman from Rye. So, if you're on the council in Rye, you get to speak. Sarah?
And a former FCWC member, thank you. And it's such a pleasure to be here. And I also want to extend my congratulations to Paul. But I just wanted to say, as I was thinking about what to say tonight, I was thinking, I don't think I was ever formally introduced to Carolyn. And over the years, I would hear about her as if one would hear about this great figure in sort of hushed and revered tones of, oh, Carolyn was responsible for that, or it was Carolyn's idea, or, oh, that didn't happen until Carolyn Cunningham got it done. And so when I finally saw her at a council meeting many years ago, it was as if this mythical figure had finally appeared to me. And of course, there she was up at the podium making her point quite vigorously and vociferously, as you can imagine. But what I will say is that I knew instantly that all of that talk about Carolyn Cunningham was justified and that this person was indeed a force. And I too am one of the people who got recruited to join FCWC because of Carolyn, because it is absolutely impossible to say no to Carolyn. And I miss our many car rides to and from meetings where we would talk about everything from your amazing grandchildren to tree ordinances. And I'll say that, with your myriad accomplishments, all you really need to know about Carolyn is that if we're looking for ways to solve our environmental problems, be like Carolyn Cunningham. She's a person who recognizes and believes wholeheartedly in her individual power to make change, and she never backs off, never. I admire you so greatly. You are a mentor to me, and this tribute is just a small acknowledgement of all that you've done. But most importantly, I want to recognize you for your ability to be a leader in achieving transformative change in our area. Westchester and the environment are very lucky to have you as their friend and champion, and so am I. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Sarah, for those kind words. Right. Wow.
So Steve Levy is going to wrap it up for our board, and then we still have the future coming up after the break. So Paul Presendieu and many of the other electeds will be speaking about him as well. So Steve?
Thank you so much, Chuck. Carol, it's an honor to honor you. But before we do, I want to thank John and the rest of the family for allowing us to have you for so many years and for all your efforts and the time away from the family, even though I did look forward to seeing John at the annual meeting and the galas. But thank you, John and family. Steve Otis, you hit it on the head about Carolyn and always being there and pushing and doing her thing. But it always amazed me too, although she had all these different titles, somehow she never became president, but then again, she never had to because she ruled the roost anyway. And to this day as well, whenever we're deciding and doing things, we have that little sound in our head saying, well, what is Carolyn going to say? Is she going to agree with us? Or are we going to have to really, put it to the test? So Carolyn, that's a tribute to you too. But, more importantly, what everybody has said, you are a true leader and a model of too many. And, over the years, we've been through a lot at the FCWC, and, we've been through everything. And I thank you and thank you for mentoring me as well over the years. And there's one thing I'll always remember. And when we're at that board meeting and it comes to money, that sound comes into my head, say, well, Carolyn's going to say it's too much and can we afford to do it? Which everybody has heard that over the years. But thanks so much. You're a special woman and we love you. And FCWC wouldn't be where we are without you today. And we look forward to you continuing to working with us and contributing not just to us, but also keeping all our wonderful partners and our elected officials on their toes. And thanking our elected officials for tonight and everything else you guys have done for us over the years. And we look forward to fighting that environmental challenge with everyone in the future. So Carol, we love you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Great.
So now we go to the second section. I'm not leading that, but until the person steps forward, I will just remind everybody who hasn't contributed that there is a link in the chat. Today is Giving Tuesday, so there are charities all over the country that are getting money, but none is more deserving than Federated Conservationists of Westchester. Anne, you're muted. You're muted, Anne. Anne is muted.
I did it again. Sorry, everybody.
Now.
So everyone, thank you so much, Chuck, and all the speakers and all of you who want to speak and have not been able to speak. I want you to know you can send your written tribute and any photos that you want included in a book of tributes for Carolyn or a book of tributes for Paul, because we're creating books for them. So we wish we could hear from everybody, but thank you all for coming and those who spoke. It's given so much dimension to this wonderful person, Carolyn, who's lit a fire in all of us. And now that fire is moving through other generations, the next generations. And as Chris Cunningham said, it takes many generations to make the profound change. And Carolyn's now, got the future generations working for the future too. So before we leave, I'd like to just take a moment, everybody switch to gallery view. Let's give Carolyn and her family another round of applause.
Hey.
Love you, Carolyn. Bravo. Make noise, everybody. It's okay. Unmute.
Yeah.
Yay.
Hey, Carolyn.
Love you, Carolyn.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Okay. So now we are moving on to our next honoree. I am so privileged to be able to present the Edith G. Reed Award to Paul Presendieu, our FCWC intern. I have to tell you a little bit about the Edith Reed Award, though, because the bigness of this award and the vision behind it is definitely earned by this young man. And you should understand that Edith Reed was a friend and a colleague of Carolyn Cunningham, and they worked together on so many issues. You saw some photos of the two of them together. And we have, Edith Reed lived actually 102 years, and we hope that Carolyn will be doing the same. And we have Edith Reed to thank for Rye Nature Center. Yeah, she was the one who pushed the city of Rye to acquire that land and to build the Nature Center. We have her to thank for the Edith G. Reed Natural Park and Wildlife Sanctuary on behind Playland. She was the one who that was established for in honor of Edith Reed. She created with other people, Jan Blair, probably one of them, Westchester County Soil and Water Conservation Board. And that was the first suburban such conservation board that had been established in New York State. And it's a very effective organization for conservation. So Edith Reed tackled issues in Rye for her entire life: flooding, protection of Milton Harbor. She left a huge improvement in her world. I really appreciate what Chris Cunningham said, because that's what I've seen in my time too here in New York. Improvement in the environment of New York State, and especially Westchester County. And it's thanks to all of you on this Zoom, and to many others as well. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about Paul, because Paul definitely is perfect for embodying the Edith Reed Award. Let me just get this slideshow correct. Sorry, I got to go from the beginning, and there we go. And let's hope I can do this properly. Everyone, if you want to put it on speaker for this and for when Paul accepts his award. And anyway, so Paul, most of you on this Zoom have at least seen Paul. If you haven't had extensive talks with him, a lot of you have had extensive talks as well. Paul has been everywhere since he first got on the scene in, I think, 2018 is when I first discovered Paul at a Soil and Water Conservation Board climate change forum. And Paul asked the most intelligent questions, and he was the youngest person in the room by 25, 30 years. I went over to him immediately. Nab that kid for FCWC, and I'm so glad we did. I had no clue what a wonderful person we were bringing into FCWC when he said yes. And we have Carol Capabianco to thank for that, because she got him to go to that forum. Paul will tell you about that. So now Paul is now studying environmental studies at Westchester Community College and will be attending SUNY Purchase. He has been interning since 2018 with FCWC. He's already created and started developing, with the help of many of the young people on this Zoom right now, fantastically effective Westchester County Student Environmental Advocacy Network. He developed a young professionals board for FCWC. We're building that. Anybody who's interested, please contact Paul. He organized a Youth Climate Action Leadership Summit, the first to be ever organized in Westchester County. And it was huge, populated by 125 registrants. It had to be postponed the day before. But brilliantly, Paul got out there and gathered the students, and together they created 5 webinars. In the last 6 months, they've done 5 really fascinating, very educational, and very empowering webinars about various environmental issues. He's a member of City of New Rochelle's Green and ARP Committee, and also an active member of Westchester County's chapter for the United Nations Association. Quite a lot for a student to be doing. And so in 2019, this was an amazing event that was Paul's conception, with Sheldon Maliv and Robert Applebaum and Carol Capabianco and the wonderful people at WCC. They envisioned a forum with a panel on all kinds of topics about climate change. And it had a memorial tree planting. What could be more appropriate for an Earth Day than a memorial tree planting for Dr. Hankin at WCC? There you see Cyril Peter Singh, a colleague and collaborator with Paul, and Mary Jane Shipsky, who was also helping us out with that tree planting, as was George Latimer and Peter McCart and so many people. So that was a beautiful event. And that Earth Day that wasn't all Paul was doing. He was busy cleaning up the Bronx River. Paul, I don't know how you were buzzing around like crazy. It's an amazing thing. So also, Paul is diving in and bringing students in to learn about how to be effective in working with and bringing the student voice to the county level of government. Here you have a picture of him with Nancy Barr, chair the Committee on Environment, Health, and Energy, Health, and Environment, and Kitley Coville, who is also on this Zoom and was the co-chair. And the students are with them, and they were meeting with them and beginning to learn how to effectively bring their voices into county government. And there we had, we were at work at something, I think it was plastic bags, wasn't it, Paul? I think we were talking with Kitley about a plastic bag thing. So then he was invited to speak by Ruth Walter, the new chair of the Committee on Environment and Health, and about plastics recycling and the problem of plastics in Westchester County. So Paul's been quite an actor at the county level in the past year. There he is with Ruth, and Ruth is also on the Zoom and will speak in tribute. Thank you, Ruth. And then Paul organized and moderated this wonderful program with NYSERDA about offshore wind, which is a very exciting development in New York State. Talk about the future is going to be better than the past or even the present, because that offshore wind, you guys can watch the highlight video we have of it on our YouTube. Just go to our front web page and you can click on YouTube and you can click on that. It's fascinating. But Paul ran that. That was an absolutely brilliant, another brilliant webinar. So this was the one on a student webinar where he had student speakers who are involved in reducing food waste and ending hunger in Westchester. It was another fantastic one. You can also see that on our YouTube. But again, Paul sought as much as he could, seeks as much as he can, to have the students who are out there doing stuff and who are making themselves experts, have become experts. He has the students present to each other, and it's really, really exciting and impressive. And moving forward, I can't say enough for the partners at the county level of government, of course, led by George Latimer. We're very fortunate. And Peter McCart has been on, I think Peter McCart, he's on now. He's been on every single student webinar that Paul has run. So he can attest, and he will attest to the brilliance of how Paul's operating. But anyway, the future moves forward from here. And you can see we have all the actors of the county government working with our students. So you're going to have plenty of future vision in current government. So I want to end with this wonderful slide that has so many of the young people that are, whoops, where to go. Here it goes, wait, sorry. I got to get that slide back up. That is too beautiful. Wait, where'd it go? Oh no, how did that happen? Sorry. Oh, everybody, I'm so sorry. I will have to put that up again. This is the klutz of who I am, and I do apologize. Because that slide is
And it's there, we can see it.
Can you see it? Good, because these are the actors. Be ready. These are the ones you're going to be seeing, and there's more. There's many more, but that's it. Those are the active people, some of the active people that have been working with Paul and will continue to do so. So, so I'm going to stop my share now, and I'd like to make the award to Paul. Again, the proclamation, I can't get it to look good on this screen right now because I didn't get it on my desktop for share, but we have a beautiful certificate for you, Paul. We're so grateful that you have stepped forward to help lead our country, our county, and our culture, and our economy, and our society forward with a new way of relating to the environment. So the Edith G. Reed Award we now offer to Paul, and I ask you all to switch now to gallery view, and let's give Paul the applause he deserves. And make noise, everybody.
Hey, Paul.
Keep it up.
Yes, keep it up, Paul. Okay, so now put it to speaker view. So Paul is going to say a few words. Paul, if you would take the limelight. And your family.
I have here with my family. I set up my laptop here. So we really appreciate this. It's really a really extreme honor. Just the legacy of what Edith G. Reed has done for our environmental community. And like, I really been a surreal experience working with all of you. And in Monica, you have been like my mentors, not only professionally, but also on a personal level. And I really look forward to continued great work for our environmental community. And in the forefront, our next generation. Like I say this all the time, we have Greta Thunbergs within our county. people like, Caitlin Carpenter, Bianca. These are people that really are leading the charge for our next generation of leaders that are going to be our next Carolyn Cunninghams in Westchester. Thank you.
I guess so. Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. We are so delighted, and those are the truest words ever. And so before we get to Paul's family, we are looking forward to hearing from Paul's family. But we did want to introduce Peter McCart. First, we'll do some of the government people, and then we'll get back to Paul's family. All right. So Peter McCart, would you please take the speaker's seat?
Sure thing, I will indeed. This is fantastic. Look at all these wonderful people, all of our friends here. This is just, I'm honored to actually be on the screen with you all. And I'm also honored to be the one that gets to speak here first for Paul. Paul and I have been together for 3 years now. He too burst on the scene at the same time in 2018 to me, and about the same time. And I will say, I get around the county, I get around the different meetings. Every time I turn around, oh, there's Paul again. What, Paul, you're following me, or am I following you, Paul? I'm not sure, but Paul has got the energy, he's got the intelligence, he's got the enthusiasm. He's just the best, and I love him to death. As most of you know, Paul has become a real good friend, and I'm honored to be here. I do want to make sure we thank his parents. His parents have actually done obviously a fantastic job raising a very good young man with a heck of a head on his shoulders. And we're all, Paul, I lean on you a lot, Paul. Whenever we're talking about something, we got to get the youth. We got to bring the youth in. Paul. So I can't thank you enough, Paul, for everything you've done for me and the county and all the things that I want to do, what the county executive wants to do, and the Board of Legislators. You've been instrumental in so many initiatives so early on here. I have a 15-minute speech, but I'm going to try to whittle it down to about 12. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to wrap this right up. I do. Paul is a neighbor of mine, so I have the proclamation here from the county executive. And Paul, I'm going to drop it off, and maybe I'll get to meet your parents at that time. But there's so many wonderful people here. I'm looking forward to hearing from all of them as well. And I do want to thank Carolyn Cunningham so much. She is one of those kind of revered people that I very similar. Was it Sarah, I think, said, this is somebody you heard about. It was also Bob Funicello. I know I bust Bob's chops all the time. Bob was another one of these guys I heard about. He's doing great things. Bud Nicoletti's another one of them that, you just do great things. And now I get to work with him, and it's just fantastic. But Paul, thank you so much for everything you do. And I'm looking forward to hearing from some of the other people, some of your friends and other people here. But thank you very much, FCWC. I look forward to serving on your board sometime if I get that honor, if I get the invite. I'm looking forward to doing that. But thank you, everybody, for everything you do for our county, your environment, for our kids. I mean, that's how I got involved. It's for the youth, my kids and their kids. And we have a lot of work ahead of us, and let's get to it. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you, Peter. And we are getting to it as we speak, right? And you consider yourself nabbed for the board. There you go. Dawn. Okay, so thank you so much.
Only
Peter.
if you
And now,
yeah.
and now I'd like to introduce legislator Damon Marr, who also is here to
Oh, hello.
honor Paul.
Hi, Ann. Thank you. Got me? Good. I just had a smile while you were scrolling through the photos of Paul, because he always looks so great, even in the hip waders. I mean, you said he dives right into a project. Did you mean to say that right after you showed him in the hip waders in the river? Because literally and figuratively, yes, he does dive right in. And I want to say seriously, we're at a time now. We've just got through all the electoral hoopla, and we're hopeful that the vaccine's going to work out for COVID. But back to problem number one. especially the young folks have shown us the environment, the earth. We got to get to work. And I see that, the torch is being well passed from someone like Carolyn to Paul. And I'm glad to claim him as a fellow New Rochelian. And we do have a proclamation. I don't know, I'm trying to do this on Zoom, but it looks something like this.
Half hour behind.
But the great thing about the proclamations, this is a proclamation from the Board of Legislators. The Board of Legislators controls the big Jumbotron outside the county center. And so when it's your day, and Paul, December 3rd, which is 2 days from now, Thursday, it is officially, as it says here, officially Paul Presendieu Day in Westchester County. And during that day, sometime during that day, go up to the county center and look at your name up in lights. It's bring your family, take photos, enjoy your day. And, since it's your day, I hope you give me the day off. And so thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, legislator. That's wonderful. That's just wonderful. Paul, we'll look for you in lights. So now I'm going to just state that the next speakers are going to be also our legislators who have been working so much with Paul and mentoring Paul. Nancy Barr, Kitley Coville, Ruth Walter, and then Amy Paulin will also be getting on. I'll let you pass it one to the other, okay, to save time and keep the focus on Paul. So Nancy, you want to start us off and move on to Kitley and then Ruth and then Assembly Member Amy Paulin.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anne. And I just want to say I've been on a lot of Zooms since this whole pandemic thing started. And this is absolutely far and away the best one ever. Part of it is, all you guys, because I know many of you and I love you guys, but also just to be honoring two people that I actually know and respect and have worked with is really such a pleasure. So thank you for letting me have a minute. Paul, what can I say? We met at all those slides I saw. I remember all of those occasions. We did meet at that planting, the tree planting.
Nancy Barr.
Oh, that's Nancy. County, Westchester Community College. And then we, continued from that point on. We met with some regularity. We collaborated on a lot of things as I was the chair of the Environment and Health Committee. And it's really been a pleasure. I have to say that, it's very trite. We all say it, but it's really true that the future of the planet is in, your hands and your generation's hands. And very, very happy that we have somebody like you to help lead us into that future. You've always demonstrated such a great work ethic and intelligence and professionalism, but beyond all of that, your enthusiasm is only matched by Ann Jeffy Holmes. So you guys are a really good combination, the two of you. Just nobody, I guess it's like what people were saying earlier about you, Carolyn. Nobody can say no to these guys. I mean, how can you not get excited when they're in the room? So I want to say that you've really been a bright spot in a very dark time. And we really appreciate that. And I'm not surprised that FCWC is giving you this honor or that they snapped you up as their intern, because I have no doubt that, when the time is right, you will be soaring above us all and continuing to make us really proud. So thank you so much for everything you do and you have done and you will do. And just a quick shout out to you, Carolyn, as well. I'm so, thrilled that I've gotten to work with you on airport matters. Couldn't agree more with everything that I've heard tonight, and it's just a real honor. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, Kitley Coville.
Thank you. Paul, I think you first came on the scene in a sort of a shy kind of way. And I thought, oh, he's shy. Yeah, not so much really. In fact, I thought your way of being determined was incredibly effective and wonderful to watch. And we all came on the scene about the same time. And when you realized you could speak at the county board meeting, and then you spoke and you brought others to speak, that was amazing. And I can only imagine how nervous everybody else was, because I know when I stood up there, I was so nervous I could barely get the words out. So it was wonderful to see leadership almost right from the get-go. And I have to say that George Klein raised a glass of water to you. I brought my glass of water as a prop too, because this water is really the future. We are all going to have big glasses of beautiful water, because you are going to protect us all as we go forward. And your determination and your enthusiasm, but also your quiet way of getting stuff done, is just really remarkable. And I could not be happier to be here and to be part of honoring you and honoring the work that you have done and will continue to do. So cheers. And on to Ruth.
Okay, thank you, Kitley. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everyone else who's gone before. Hi, Paul. I am so glad to be a county legislator, and in no small part due to the hard work of Paul Presendieu, who was my field organizer on my campaign, was there all summer in the heat and the, walking and knocking on doors in that old time way we used to campaign before COVID. And he was also there the day that we had our absentee ballot count, which was 20 days after the election. So I know we've been confused by how long absentee ballots take to count, but they really do take that long. And I do want to thank him for his focus on the environment for my campaign. And now as the new, I've taken the torch from Nancy as the new head of the Environment and Health Committee. I look forward to collaborating with Paul, with FCWC, and all the great Westchester organizations that have been putting the environment at the front of so many public policies. And I'm really hopeful for 2021 with a new federal direction. And I was just on another Zoom with Beyond Plastics with Judith Enck, and she said something about the EPA is going to be like Humpty Dumpty. We're going to put it back together again. So let's all get to work. And thank you again, Paul. You're wonderful, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you, Ruth. This is wonderful hearing from you all. So much work that we're doing together and so much more to be done. Amy Paulin, are you still on? You spoke for Carolyn, and were you able to stay on to speak for Paul? Thank you.
Get the chance. I didn't know that I would get this second chance. So I did talk about Paul in my first go round here. So I tried to take a picture of the citation that I have and share it, but I wasn't successful. So I'll just wave it again and thank Paul for his hard work, and again for all of yours. And I look forward to meeting you in person when COVID is done, because just hearing about all of the things that you've done, you're obviously a very impressive young person, and I am so grateful for all of that work and the fact that you're in my district. I am very proud. So congratulations again and again to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. And thank you all. This is wonderful. Now, everyone, the real icing on the cake, we're going to get to have the icing part. We are introducing first Paul's father. And Paul's father will make a toast. And anyone else in your family, Paul, that wants to speak will be most welcome to speak. We are so looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Anne, and thank you, FCWC, for recognizing my son, Paul, and for the good words, and also for honoring Carolyn Cunningham. Congratulations, Paul. We love you very much, and we're very proud of you. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Oh, here's to you. And here's a toast to you, Russell Presendieu, and to your family. Your whole family has produced a young man, as Peter McCart said, that is truly changing the world by changing a lot of our lives and changing his own as well. So here's to you all. Thank you so much for your work as a good family in producing a great human being.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, this is so wonderful. So now I have to go back, and now we get to introduce the person who actually really hooked Paul to begin with. Carol Capabianco, will you please step to the speakers booth?
Well, thank you, Anne, and I can't take credit for that, but I first want to say hello. I see some Westchester Community College students out there, Keena and Peter and others, and hello to present colleagues and former colleagues and elected officials. And thank you, Anne, again, and the FCWC board and staff for giving me this opportunity, but also for providing the opportunity for young people to take leadership roles in the environment, engage them in environmental advocacy. You know, your work is really important, and I want you to know that many people appreciate it. FCWC has been around a long time. And I also want to congratulate Carolyn Cunningham. You know, you really have done a lifetime of service, and actually you hit it on the head when I heard everybody talking about your lifetime of making a difference. A lifetime of making a difference. It's really quite noble and appreciated. And Paul, you seem to be on the now trajectory of doing the same thing. You are receiving this really well-deserved award, and I have a feeling that it's just the first of many accomplishments and acknowledgements you'll get in the years to come. You are a shining leader, you really are, and everybody's been saying this as well. And you're someone who jumps in, gets involved, and gets things done. And you bring people together to find solutions, and you do it with a spirit of goodness. I want to say that, a real spirit of goodness, and with a $1 million smile, right? Look at that smile. Paul, you know, I met Paul when he would pop into my office to talk about environmental projects he was thinking about or ideas. And then with the wonderful news that he was planning to start an environmental club at Westchester Community College. I've been there almost 9 years now, and there were 60 clubs on campus, but not an environmental club. So I was so happy that students wanted to start this club. And then I was really thrilled and honored when they asked the Native Plant Center to be one of the advisors. And I'm happy to say that the club is now, the young club is now really making themselves known on campus and bringing awareness to environment and really gaining steam. Again, I can't take credit for Paul. Paul has this, like you said, enthusiasm and listening to how many projects he's involved in. I always think he's really 3 people, not just one person. But I guess my claim to fame in regard to Paul is 2 years ago this month, December of 2018, as Anne referenced, the Native Plant Center was co-sponsoring a workshop with the county at the county center. That's the soil and water, was about climate change. And there was 275 people in the audience. And by far, Paul was the youngest in the audience by far. And he also was just one of maybe 5 people of color in that big audience. So Paul has really, is really representing 2 very underrepresented communities in the environmental field, as many of us who have been in the field for many years know. And we really are looking forward to, well, I'm going to go back to the conference, because during one of the Q&As, Paul stood up and he said his name, and then he announced that he was a student at Westchester Community College. Well, after the workshop, he was mobbed like a rock star. There were so many people who came to surround him and ask him, you know, to meet him and also to invite him to their events. And one of those people was Anne, as she mentioned, and she invited him to the next FCWC event, the upcoming event that was coming up, and the rest is history, and here we are. So, you know, Paul, continue with the good work you're doing. Congratulations. And I'm going to keep watching as your star is rising, because I know you have really more and more good things in you to do. And I don't want to put all the onus on your shoulders. We're all saying you're gonna create clean water and change the climate, but it begins with good leadership, and you certainly have it. And thank you to his folks for being such a good role model to him and creating such a wonderful person. Thank you, and we'll stay in touch.
Oh, thank you, Carol, and thank you for bringing us Paul. All of you at WCC. WCC has really brought a lot of wonderful students into awareness of the environment. So, Robert Applebaum was going to speak, but I believe he's not on right now. So, let's go at Professor Sheldon Malev. Would you please take the speaker stand and give your tribute to Paul?
Thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of this wonderful celebration and ceremony honoring Paul and Carolyn Cunningham, who I also want to applaud for all of her wonderful work. And I also want to say a wonderful thing about the Federation of Conservationists. You guys are fantastic. It's been my honor to join you and to become a member as well. And I have not yet had a chance to make my financial contribution, but I want to let you know that I'm going to do that too. I've been a full-time professor at Westchester Community College, where I teach psychology this is now my 50th year.
Oh, okay.
I arrived in the fall of 1971. Along with Joe Hankin, the second president of the college. And one of my claims to fame is that, and this is a very much unknown claim, that I had as a student of mine, Paul Presendieu's father. And I was surprised to learn that when I drove Paul home one night after a meeting, and had a chance to meet him again. So this is the second generation for me. I helped to found as a member of the faculty senate, I founded the Westchester Community College the faculty senate environmental committee, and I've served as chairperson and as co-chairperson for many decades. And in that period of time, I've watched student interest wax and wane in terms of environmental issues. And just before I met Paul, there was a period of time, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 years, when there was virtually no interest whatsoever on the campus in the environment. We had no Earth Day celebrations, whereas in the past, for decades, we had outstanding events. It was not only depressing for me, but it was really infuriating. And I remember an angry confrontation I had with some students, which turned out to be the wrong approach, because that certainly turned them off. They weren't interested in doing anything. Then in 2014, Paul tells me, October of 2014, I ran into Paul at a meeting. And I happened to mention to him that we did not have any Earth Day celebrations in about 4 years. And Paul felt exactly as I did. He was mortified. He said, "This is terrible. We have to do something about it." And he did. He organized one of the best Earth Day celebrations that we've ever had. And he continued to come back, even after graduating from the campus. He still came back and he helped to promote these events on campus. He became a member of our committee, which is really a faculty committee. It's a faculty senate environmental committee, but we've always had students, we have staff members, and we've had administrators on the committee. As a matter of fact, one of the college administrators is serving as co-chair with Rob Applebaum right now. I'm sorry that Rob is not here to tell you more about this as well. But Paul has been an integral member of all this. The first Earth Day celebration in 2015, in 5 years, Paul managed to bring in over 20 student organizations. And I was amazed at how he had gone to the different meetings and gotten these people to enlist and to support him. I think that Paul is a true leader. He's gifted in that respect. And he has a wonderful future ahead of him. And I'm delighted that he's receiving this honor. Just one more thing I want to say, and then I'll allow somebody else to talk. Dr. Shirlita Amler, who many of you may know, is the Commissioner of Health for Westchester County. Paul was helpful in our conversion from a smoking campus where people smoked freely everywhere to a totally tobacco-free and now vape-free college campus. He served on the President's Committee for a tobacco-free campus. And Dr. Shirlita Amler, who attended one of our meetings, the Environmental Committee meetings, was so impressed with him that on April 19th in 2018, up in Peekskill, she awarded him the Youth Public Health Service Health Award. So Paul got that honor as well. I hope that he continues to go on to get his much deserved honors, trophies, and recognition. And again, I thank the Federation. I think you're all wonderful people. And I want to thank you for giving me a minute or two. I hope I didn't go over that too much to speak on Paul's behalf.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Professor Malev. We are so glad that you were on, and everything that you could bring as a professor and a mentor to Paul is really an important understanding for us all to have about who Paul is and the path he's on. So now we have finally the second layer of icing on the cake, and that is Paul's colleagues, his fellow students who've been working with him. We have 3 on right now, and we'd like to bring them forward. Abe Baker Butler, you're next.
Thank you, Anne. And hello, everyone. It's so great to see all of you tonight, but especially Carolyn and especially Paul. So Paul, I want to toast you. First of all, congratulations. I vividly remember the first time still that we met 2 years ago at White Plains Library as part of State Senator Shelley Mayer's Youth Advisory Council. And I couldn't have imagined when we met that day how fruitful and what the breadth of our work would look like over these past 2 years together. Paul, I'm constantly in awe of all you do in our local community and even on the national stage. The work you do as Young Professionals Chairman of the United Nations Association here in Westchester, your visionary focus, of course, here at FCWC, the progress you're creating as National Chair of the Environmental Caucus of College Democrats. All of this it's really inspiring to me every day. And I'm so thankful to know you, so thankful that you recruited me to get involved with FCWC. And I learned so much from you, and I continue to learn so much from you about environmental advocacy and logistical planning. I remember during our months of preparations for the Student Climate Summit that you designed and chaired, I learned so much, and I look up to you so much. And I remember specifically with that summit, when it couldn't happen as planned on March 11th, I was so admiring of how you as our fearless leader took charge and adapted that summit into a series of well-attended, highly informative webinars that sparked many new awesome collaborations and projects. So Paul, I'm honored to call you a friend, someone I really look up to. I'm grateful to have had the chance to work with you on so many varied initiatives over the years. And so congratulations again. Let us toast you. And I hope this will be one of many celebrations of your meaningful work. And I hope that I will be able to be a part of your work for years to come. So with that, I toast you, Paul.
Amen, amen, Abe. Wonderful. And believe me, we are definitely, Paul. I'm sure Paul will keep you roped in. Okay, now Bianca Jimenez, you want to speak now?
Yeah, hi everyone. It's nice to be here with you guys tonight. I want to congratulate you, Paul. So my name is Bianca and I'm the president of the Environmental Alliance at Mercy College. And I definitely could not have done any of this without Paul. I had done research over the summer with native plants where I actually planted a whole garden in my front yard. with the help of WCC. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this so much. I definitely want to do more. So I tried to start a club at Mercy College. And my professor at WCC said, oh, I know this amazing guy that I can put you in contact with. So I was like, oh my gosh, give me the contact. So I got into contact with Paul. He helped me come up with the constitution for my club, and he helped me start ideas for the club and get students engaged at Mercy College. And I actually had a webinar with Paul the other day, and we talked about some ideas for my club at Mercy. And I was like, oh my gosh, like Paul is such an amazing person. He has so much amazing ideas, and he really motivates the youth. Like, I was like, wow, I could totally revolutionize Mercy. If I need an internship, Paul's my guy. If I need information, Paul's my guy. If I need anything, contacts, Paul is my guy. So I'm so happy that you invited me to be a part of the steering committee at FCWC. I've been exposed to so many new contacts, so many new people, and I'm so excited to have a green future with everyone and with you, Paul. So toast to Paul. I don't have a drink because I'm 19, but everyone else, I'm very excited, and I am very happy for you, Paul. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bianca. Terrific, terrific. I think you guys are all having a real big impact on everybody else on the Zoom. I'm so glad that you're speaking, Abe and Bianca. Wonderful, and thank you. Now we have Caitlin bringing up the toast. Caitlin, you ready?
Absolutely. Apologize if my computer is whirring and all overheats. But congratulations, Paul. You are absolutely fantastic. And I'm gonna get to go into a little bit of that. As everybody has said before, all of these speeches are just, they make me so happy, and they're just all so true, what everybody is saying. It's amazing. Anyway, my name is Caitlin. I am a senior at Merrimack High School. And I am also a environmental organizer with the Sunrise Movement and with the New York Youth Climate Leaders. And just a little more background, I met Paul earlier this year when everybody's been referencing this big Westchester Youth Climate Organizing Day. And so that's how I met Paul. I was invited to kind of be co-chair of one of the breakout rooms. I'm forgetting exactly what it was supposed to be, right? But I was very new to this whole environment back then. I was interested in getting involved with advocacy, but I really hadn't, dove into it yet. And so I was really nervous about doing anything with this organizing day. And I remember Paul just like kind of guiding me through it. Like he was really responsive to all of my questions, and I was not as responsive to him, so I apologize about that. But he, from the start, in my experience in all of this, was really kind of a mentor and somebody I could look up to, and somebody who was reliable and who was involved in places that I wanted to go, but I wasn't there yet. And I think that he's served that for a lot of youth and is going to serve that in many, many years to come. Because really, like, as everybody is saying, again, Paul is a mentor, Paul is a guide. Paul is there, as Bianca was saying, if you need anything. And it's just so wonderful. And I've also been on calls with him since that organizing day was postponed. The Windshore Power webinar in particular comes out, as well as we had a joint kind of collaboration because Paul wanted to reach out to more youth in Yonkers and Mount Vernon specifically about youth environmental lobbying, which is a really cool thing. So we collaborated on those, and he just brings such a joy to the Zoom call too. It's so hard to get like energy on a Zoom call, as I'm sure you're so aware. But Paul always comes there with a smile, sometimes with these cool headphones. And it's just a really great time. So I know I've been speaking for a little bit, but congratulations, Paul, again. You absolutely incredible, have really inspired me. I definitely you were that organizing day, even though it didn't happen, it really set off a path for me, which I'm forever grateful for. And so thank you all for coming. I don't have I know I'm finishing us off here, and so I apologize for not having a glass, but I have a teacup. So I'm gonna cheers with a teacup. So cheers, congratulations. Looking forward to seeing all that you do in the future. So grateful.
Thank you, Caitlin. We have you and Abe and Bianca are going to move forward with us, right? That's not changing. We're going to give the final words to Paul before Alicia Malloy gets on and brings everything together as a wrap up. But Paul, why don't you say just a few words for how you're feeling right now?
It's been a great experience. It's been surreal, to be honest. You know, a lot of people in the kind of the youth climate movement, they're not really given a seat at the table. But that's one thing that's pretty different with FCWC and Westchester County in general. Like, there's such an infrastructure that's there for people to get involved. You have areas of this country where people are protesting against government taking advantage of natural resources. But here in Westchester County, you have government officials that are looking for young members of society to help out with the overall advocacy and help out with the overall, even planning of potential legislation. And that's something that really, I really consider to be surreal sometimes. And especially FCWC, the doors that you guys have helped me professionally unlock and open, things that I realize that I'm able to do, especially organizing and teamwork building, and really help with, addressing that intergenerational disconnect within our climate movement. What Carol mentioned at that climate action, at that climate seminar that occurred at the Westchester County Center, it was true. There was an older generation that was predominantly present, and really helping with FCWC address with not only identifying young environmental leaders, but to help empower aspiring leaders with resources. I think that's really where we can make a difference of identifying and helping cultivate our own Greta Thunbergs in Westchester County. So with FCWC and everyone on this call, with all of you have your own respective, this is the Justice League or All-Stars of environmental leaders of Westchester County. That's what you guys are doing. It's really inspiring for future people. I know myself, my family, we really appreciate everyone everything that you've done here, especially FCWC. We're actually having the Prosecco that was dropped off and a cake, and the cake as well. We appreciate that. And we really look forward to, coming together and really making a stand, especially with our new national leadership that actually gets the climate science. And hopefully we can make sure that we can really connect this local and national leadership, especially with the youth movement moving forward.
Absolutely, Paul. Thank you for that. Those are the wise words to bring this to a close. Alicia Malloy is going to wrap it all up, but Paul, we're glad you spoke. That is you. That is you, the connector for all of us. Thank you. Okay, Alicia.
I just don't even feel like I have the ability to end this evening on even a better note than what we've done, but what an incredible night. I want to thank everyone for sticking with us to the very end. I'm so glad you're able to join us for the celebration of Carolyn and Paul. We were really hoping to be able to do this in person because I think you'll all agree we couldn't have chosen two finer individuals to honor this year in 2020. Tonight, we wanted to make sure we reaffirm our commitment to the youth of Westchester and the student network that Paul has created. So many effective advocates for the environment are coming up the ranks. Watch out, Westchester. We're so exciting. But we also really wanted to pay our respects and give recognition to the past contributions made by so many dedicated environmentalists like Carolyn. We have called this event Passing the Torch, but rest assured, Carolyn is still part of FCWC. She's not going anywhere. She'll continue to serve on our board of directors and will provide us with her invaluable perspective on many issues. I feel so honored that when I started working with FCWC, it was really Carolyn who helped me do my job. She was literally in there with me doing as many hours as I was. She helped me learn the deep history of FCWC and fostered my relationships and connections with literally almost every one of you that's in here. And I will always be thankful for that, Carolyn. But I'm also really looking forward that I get to work with Paul and I get to be kind of this bridge from what was, or not was, but what we've done and then what we're going to do. I get to play a part in both and I'm so excited about that. In If you're excited to see FCWC, I'm going to do a shameless little plug because it is Giving Tuesday. If you're excited to see where FCWC will go, we want again to invite you to make a donation in honor of Carolyn and Paul. Without our friends' support, we wouldn't be able to be going this strong for the last 55 years. We appreciate every contribution that you've all made. You make this all possible. So although we're doing the safe thing by Zooming this meeting tonight, we sure do hope that we can gather in person in 2021. A big party will be called for, and we will bring together all of our friends again. But until then, we wish you all a safe, healthy, and happy holiday season. Be well, and thank you all for joining us. Congratulations, Paul and Carolyn. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Nice.
Wonderful
Thank you.
program. Congratulations.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being on. Having you all on is what made it. And thank you, Carolyn and Paul. Enjoy your evenings.
Yes, thank you.
Enjoy the cake.
Enjoy that cake. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Enjoy your cake.
It's wonderful.
We love the cake.
Good.
Paul.
Good, good, good.
Thank you, Ann, Jackie.
Thank
Really appreciate it. Ann. Do a lot. Very much.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Avenanti. Hello, I'm sorry that we didn't have a chance. We didn't have you on for speaker.
That's okay. It was nice to be here. Congratulations to Carolyn and to Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, William. Thank you.
Future with people like Paul.
Sure.
Thank you, Paul.
Congratulations, Paul. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, you must be hungry. Yeah, you all must be hungry.
Ann, turn it off.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Bye. I'm having fun. Okay, ending the meeting,
bye.
everybody. Love ya all. Thank you.
Bye all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice, healthy, safe holiday season. Yep.
Well said, William.